It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Yambo. Top stories in the news tonight. A Lusaka woman accuses the police of unfairly implicating her son in a murder case. Police constable suspected of killing senior prosecutor NSAMA CHIPYOKA pleads not guilty. Fuel subsidies gobbling $21 million monthly as government labels KCM and MOPANI mines a mess. In international news, demonstrations in Sudan likely to continue after 12 confirmed dead during protests. And in sports news, Oriental QUARRIES boxing promotions turn to government over the boxing ring.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Hello once again, another news in detail. Mother to one of the suspected killers of a 33-year-old Adrian Banda of Kuku compound has denied charges labeled against her son by Challenge police officers. Speaking to Camnet Monday, Barbara Perry says her son Jeremiah Perry, aged 20 years, denied ever beating the deceased while in police custody. She narrates that her son further told the mother that the deceased was brought in the cells with a cut to the head and broken torso while bleeding through the nose. She says her son, who is still in police custody, is in an examination class and has since appealed to the Human Rights Commission for help. This plea is in relation to a story carried by Camnet TV over a suspect who died in police custody, to which the police accused his fellow inmates to have killed him. We have more in the following report.
The death of a 33-year-old man of Lusaka's Kuku compound, Adrian Banda, who is believed to have died at the hand of police officers at Lusaka's Challenge police station, has taken a twist after mother to one of the accused killers, Barbara Perry, says her son is innocent and has been implicated in a murder case he never committed. According to the family of Mr. Banda, their family member was killed by police officers at Challenge police station who died from a blunt impact trauma to the head, torso and extremities.
Kuja vanatifotokezera kuti uyu muntu atana mpasa mulandu wa trespassing. So chodabwisa kulire nchakuti ngati ni mulandu wa trespassing kodi umafunika upaya.
But according to the Zambian police, Adrian Banda was murdered by 3 persons who he shared the same cell with on the fateful day, who police spokesperson Ray Hamonga named as Augustine Katota, age 22, Jeremiah Perry, age 19, and John Kakoma, age 19. However, mother to Jeremiah Perry, the 19-year-old, has narrated that her son was arrested for the offense of theft of a phone, a matter which the owner of the phone was willing to settle outside the police, but that her son was denied police bond.
Police, I think been about 2 or 3. Been in the police in a meeting and Navakafuimbi, arresting officer Manawanga. But the arresting officer Manawanga never was an anti. Banana that in Ondani Monani never phone, Swap no Mansana, Nachapendaran. They never won a phone. Day 13. Arresting officer Kafin Banakamba Mache, Dokupuet and a Pericaman to court. So I never found sanity. Bakafuimbi, deputy Mulando Manawanga, Susan, police bondi. Nika Boya Mugana sign a police bond. They got man and they police bond. Manakana, police match.
While she couldn't hold her tears as she narrated to this reporter, the mother says her son has denied ever having beaten Mr. Banda, as has been implied by police officers, but that he was brought into the cells with a broken torso and a cut on the head while bleeding from the mouth and the nose. The explanation, however, matches with the postmortem result conducted on the body of Mr. Banda at the University Teaching Hospital, which indicated that he died from a blunt impact trauma to the head, torso and extremities.
I mean, once at 21 days. The 21 days at the end of my sales. then uja muntu yafa pasa mwana wanga mlandu wa mada nenda ko uja mwana wanga kambatine uja muntu ine namuona anabwera nachironda pakwendo anabwera nachironda huko enza bleeding mumpuno so
she has since appealed to the Human Rights Commissioner and other NGOs to help her with the case. Her grade 12 pupil is about to be sent to prison for a murder case he never committed.
Mwana chepesa zebikira kulemba grade 12 hapa so because of COVID. Sana bwerere ku school kuchipata pozira kuchipata trades school. Nipempa ko help ntandize nkone watu ba Mulungu ali wose wamena nimvera mtandizeko.
The question that however bangs for answers concerning who killed Mr. Banda now remains in the hands of police officers who were on duty on the fateful day. The poor widow is not only about to lose her husband but her son if the relevant authorities do not intervene in the matter. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A police constable who is accused of shooting to death a senior prosecutor from the National Prosecutions Authority and a ruling UPND cadre last year has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of murder before the Lusaka High Court. This is in a matter in which Fanuel Nyundu is accused of killing NSAMA CHIPYOKA and Joseph Kaunda, a UPND cadre during the time President Hakainde Hichilema, then opposition leader, was summoned at police force headquarters for questioning and the fracas erupted. We have more in the following report.
The Lusaka High Court Monday morning commenced with the alleged murder case of a former junior police constable who shot a state prosecutor NSAMA CHIPYOKA from the National Prosecution Authority and a UPND sympathizer, Joseph Kaunda, in December last year. Appearing before a High Court judge, Fanuel Nyundu, 25, pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of murder. The allegations that he has been slapped with is contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. The accused was arrested earlier this year and has spent more than 9 months in custody before the court could proceed to hear his murder trial. Mr. CHIPYOKA and Mr. Kaunda were shot dead near the Cabinet office on December 23, 2020, when President Hakainde Hichilema, then as an opposition leader, had appeared before the police headquarters in Lusaka for questioning over a land in Kalomo. The alleged murder is said to have occurred when police officers tried to disperse the UPND supporters who had gone to offer their solidarity. The accused is said to have used live bullets during the process that killed the 2 deceased persons. If convicted, the accused will be sent to life in prison. His case has been adjourned to the 10th of November, 2021. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
3 Lusaka men and a woman have pleaded not guilty to murdering a veterinary doctor, Evans Mwape Mwengwe, around 6 miles in Kawango area, an incident that happened in June 2021. Doris Nduba of Lusaka's Ibex Hill area and his co-accused Kenani Jere, Kigan Zulu and Josat Tembo are alleged to have murdered Evans Mwape Mwengwe. When the matter came before Lusaka High Court Judge Joshua Banda, the 4 denied the charge. Dr. Mwengwe reportedly went missing in June this year as he traveled from Kabwe to Lusaka on the evening of June 10, but his body was discovered 2 days later, partially burnt. Nduba, Jere, Zulu and Tembo allegedly murdered Dr. Mwengwe after he offered them a lift from Kabwe to Lusaka. The 4 got away with Dr. Mwengwe's Mercedes-Benz Infinix phone, MacBook laptop, among other items. Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotwane says the country will have to make a choice on whether or not to remove the fuel subsidy to allow resources to be spent on other economic issues. Speaking at a post-budget town hall symposium held in Lusaka Monday, the minister says government is spending $21 million US per month in subsidizing fuel price at the pump. The minister says the solution to resolving the $21 million subsidy problem lies in reforming the procurement of petroleum products. Meanwhile, the minister says there will be no introduction of meal allowances for students in higher institutions of learning because resources have been channeled towards other sectors. More in the following report.
The United Party for National Development Administration had made a lot of promises to the Zambian people, among them free education, bursaries, and the restoration of meal allowances for students at the higher learning institutions. While some promises have been fulfilled, such as the delivery of free education in the 2022 national budget presented to Parliament on 29 October 2021, Minister of Finance Tumbekom Sokotwane has however asked students to be patient with regards to the restoration of meal allowances, which he says government has taken resources to other sectors requesting urgent interventions.
Just this week he was talking about it. I made this commitment. We need to honor our commitment. But for now, it is not possible because the money is going to your young brothers, your nephews, your young sisters, because if you leave them behind and you focus the money on themselves, then obviously we are creating a problem.
And a Copperbelt University student, when asked about the pronouncement, had this to say.
To come with different views from students. To others, to have like a positive view. To others, to have a negative view. But the fact is that the government is the main stakeholder and they are the only people we are looking up to for this problem that we are facing as students.
With regards to fuel prices in the country, the minister says importing refined fuel via pipeline could reduce the cost of fuel importation by about 50%. He says government is spending about $21 million per month in subsidizing fuel price at the pump.
Fuel, this is again something that affects all of us. This is also a big mess because at the moment we are able to subsidize fuel to the extent of $21 million a month. Now, can you imagine? If there was no subsidy, $21 million per month, the issues of your new allowances will sort out.
And the minister has described the situation at KCM and MOPANI mine as a mess and says the two mines require huge capital for them to begin to function normally.
KCM and MOPANI is we have to believe that merely putting saying this now belongs to us Zambians. If you believe that the solution has been found, you are mistaken. Already you can hear what is happening in KCM. More importantly, these mines need huge amount of capital. They need huge amount of capital to be able to bring them to the level which can contribute that out of the mining revenue.
For now, the analysis of the budget continues. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Ndola District Chamber of Commerce and Industry has charged that the 2022 national budget has not addressed the high interest rate that have continued to affect many businesses. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Chamber President Paul Chisunka says private sector access to capital is important for the growth and sustainability of enterprises. Mr. Chisunka says interest rates have for a long time been higher than the domestic growth of the country. And Mr. Chisunka has commended government for the incentives introduced in the mining sector, such as making mineral royalty tax deductible, which he says will build confidence in the mining sector and in turn unlock investment that have been frozen and sometimes suspended.
Interest rates, they still remain a heavy burden. When it comes to the private sector, access to capital is very important for the growth and sustainability of enterprises, SMEs included. And we need to see how the Bank of Zambia can work with the banks and other stakeholders in trying to reduce the interest rates. Our interest rates in the country have actually for a long time been higher than our own domestic growth, which is not, of course, conducive, and it is not progressive for the long term. We have seen that incentives have been given also to the mining sector. The MRT has now been made tax deductible, which is very important in terms of building confidence in the mining sector, and this will unlock a lot of investment that has been standing frozen and sometimes suspended. We know that Kansanshi, Lubambe have had enormous expansion projects that they had to shelve because the tax regime was not favorable, it was unstable, and sometimes it seemed to be predatory.
The Consumer Unity Trust Society has opposed the government's decision to peg the pay-as-you-earn exempt threshold at 4,500 kwacha. In the 2022 national budget, the government has proposed to increase the exempt threshold for pay-as-you-earn to 4,500 kwacha from 4,000 kwacha and adjust income tax bands. CUTS Center Director Claudia Pollen says going forward, the government needs to find ways of financing the budget as opposed to overtaxing workers. Patrick Soko reports.
The 2022 national budget has been rated as progressive by various stakeholders, but like in any other budget, there are winners and losers. Among key pronouncements was the revision of the pay-as-you-earn exempt threshold to 4,500 from 4,000. According to Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane, this means they are putting 600 million kwacha in the hands of employees. Those who earn below 4,500 are winners, and those who earn above that figure are losers. I spoke to Movement for Democratic Change Vice President Leonard Hikaumba to get his perspective on the matter.
The current threshold, whose earnings are below. So those whose earnings are below, obviously they don't benefit anything. But those whose earnings are higher than the threshold, then it means they are going to benefit. It's a good move because the idea is to reduce the amount of the burden on the workers. Because over the years, the question has been, why should pay-as-you-earn be the main contributor to the government treasury? So this time around, we would like to see other sectors making significant contributions to the budget other than the contributions that are coming from the workers through pay-as-you-earn.
Meanwhile, Consumer Unity Trust Society Center Coordinator Dr. Claudia Pollen tells this journalist that workers are still overburdened with taxes. She notes the need to find ways of financing the budget, saying workers have limited disposable income due to taxes.
Zambians are in the informal sector. So basically what this has shown, has sort of stated clearly, is that the same people are being double taxed. We are bearing, those of us in the formal sector are bearing the tax burden. And what we're saying is that government needs to be a bit more robust in terms of income generation. There's much more that needs to be done in terms of making sure that corporates pay more. You cannot expect individuals to bear the tax burden to the extent that it leaves nothing for them to be able to serve. At the end of the day, what we are saying is that it's clear that one of the thematic areas is to ensure that this economy is transformed. So if you want to transform an economy, what you need is savings, investment. And even at a personal level, people need to be given that breathing space to be able to save and invest, without which people will just be dealing with coping with economic distress.
For the losers, in this case, only time will tell if they will emerge as winners in the 2023 national budget. For now, we focus on the 2022 budget execution once approved by Parliament. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Vice President Mutalena Lumango has charged that the New Dawn government has placed economic development for its citizens as a way of economic revival. The Vice President was speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony of the United Capital Fertilizer Company in Chilanga District. Mrs. Nalumango says that development is a unique investment journey that signifies the commitment government has to the developing of industries in the country. She adds that the initiative will boost industrialization in the country, adding that Zambia and China have continued to share cordial relations in many sectors of the economy. And Chinese ambassador to Zambia, Li Ji, says Zambia has become one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Ambassador Ji notes that despite the effects of the COVID-19 in 2020, Chinese investment in Zambia reached $500 million United States dollars, ranking the first place of all African countries. More in the following report.
What's currently being pursued by the wonderful group of companies is in line with the New Dawn government's strategic vision for the manufacturing sector, which is to to lay the foundation for a steady rise in manufacturing output to at least 50% by 2026 and 25% by 2035, thereby stimulating economic growth and creating decent employment for our citizens. Additionally, on the downstream market, this investment is expected to result in reduction of fertilizer. $4 billion, of which Zambia enjoy a trade surplus of $2.6 billion. The completion of the Kennedy Kaunda International Airport, the Simon Wansaka Paper International Airport, the Levi Mwanawasa University Teaching Hospital, and the Kennedy Kaunda International Conference Center, which is under construction now, have all demonstrated the fruits of practical cooperation between China and Zambia. Ladies and gentlemen, China has committed to using our resources and technologies to provide assistance to Zambia's grain production and export of agricultural products.
Your Excellency, what you have come to grace and energize today is the birth of the new dawn in the provision of affordable and locally made high-quality fertilizer, which will be made from 100% raw materials. This is local content enhancement and value addition in practice, Your Excellency. It will further reduce the cost of fertilizer by 40 to 50%. In response to your government, the new Dawn government's commitment to supporting industrialization and cost reduction of imports.
Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga says government is committed in ensuring that local and foreign investors' way of doing business in the country is made easy. Speaking during his tour of Yangtze Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Chibombo District Monday, Mr. Mulenga assures that foreign investors have government's full support on condition that they abide to the terms and conditions of what they need to do. He adds that the money that is being invested should prudently be used to benefit the growth of the economy and better the lives of locals and not only cater for the interest of investors. Meanwhile, the minister has cautioned Yangtze industry over its agenda of building shops that will be put on rent. More in the following report.
Monday morning, the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry paid a visit to one of the multi-facility economic zones in Chibombo District, about 100 kilometers north from the capital LUSAKA.
Let us set up a plant here. Zambia's got so much leather, so much rubber. And why are we still buying shoes from elsewhere?
Shaanxi United Industrial Investment is building and starting to operate a multi-facility economic zone, which when completed will be a combination of industrial park, technical innovation center and agriculture processing, among others. Shaanxi United has so far invested $160 million United States dollars in the project. For Zambia, the Chibombo Multi-Facility Economic Zone project is part of an effort to build up its manufacturing sector and adjust to its economic way from the dependence of agriculture and mining. During his visit to the zone, the minister said government is committed to ensure that the way of doing business for foreign investors in the multi-facility economic zone sector is made easy.
I think I don't want to agree with you very much, but I need to get more detail. I heard you mentioned about setting up shops that you can put for rent. I don't think I agree with that. You can't build shops and then list them out for rent. No, that's not the kind of investment we want. We need you to put up investment that will generate serious wealth. And if you have heard in the new Dawn government, our focus is in value addition. Our focus is industrialization. So you can't come and build a shop and advertise on radio for rent in an emphasis. It can't work like that. What we want is set up serious industries. We're talking about processing tobacco. We're talking about adding value to agro products.
The multi-facility economic zone has so far created 300 jobs for locals out of 500, and the number is expected to grow to 1,800 by the end of 2020 once the project is completed.
Our mission is to build a cooperation platform between Zambian people and Chinese people to jointly develop the Zambian economic and improve the living standards of Zambian people.
Despite all this progress, Shangxi multi-facility zone still faces certain challenges, which the management team highlighted to the minister.
But to attract investment, there should be a give and take situation. So I hear you, Mr. Shu. Let us listen to you. What are the concerns you have? What do you want to get from us so that we attract investment from across the world and Zambia at large? So otherwise, we are very happy to be here and very committed to see that your cost of doing business is reduced in many, many other facets like I've mentioned.
This Chuvombo Multi-Facility Economic Zone site will be fully operational by the end of 2021 and is expected to benefit a lot of local people. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Water Development and Sanitation Minister Mike Mposha says the water sector in Zambia has undergone various reforms as far back as 1976, during which policy, legal and institutional reforms have taken place. Speaking when Nigerian Taraba State Ministry of Water Resources Commissioner Barrister Yusuf Nya Akiri Kwen paid a courtesy call on him, Mr. Mposha has cited the formulation of the National Water Policy, National Water Supply and Sanitation Policy, as well as enactment of Water Supply and Sanitation Act and later the Water Resources Management Act in 2011. The minister says government is still undertaking reforms in the sector as an ongoing process aimed at ensuring policies and strategies respond to the changing needs of our people. Meanwhile, Nigerian Commissioner at the Ministry of Water Resources, Honorable Barrister Yusufu Nya Akirikwen, says the delegation is in Zambia to learn and share experiences on how to tackle the water and sanitation challenges.
Honorable Commissioner, I must hasten to stress that the government of the Republic of Zambia is still undertaking reforms in the sector as an ongoing progress aimed at ensuring policies and the strategies respond to the changing needs of our people. It is in this regard that the government, under the leadership of the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, places high priority on the provision of water supply and sanitation for all in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. To demonstrate this commitment, the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, during his address to the 13th National Assembly, committed to increase financing towards water and sanitation services. I must say that we just had our budget presentation on Friday, and this has actually come to pass, where we've seen an increase in the budgetary allocation to the water sector.
My governor, Architect Daryl Dixon Ishaku, the governor of Taraba State, is very passionate about the water sector, water and sanitation. And that is the reason why he can easily allow us to travel on tours that will improve the provision of water and sanitation in our state. Sir, just as you've said, and Mr. William Oncourt, the Tawastrik in our state came into being or force in the year 2019, just 2 years.
You're watching Camnet TV and not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Ministry of Mines and Minerals has urged artisanal and small-scale miners in the Eastern Province to take care of the environment as they conduct their mining activities. Chipyoka Mukofu, the director from the Ministry of Mines and the Geological Survey Department, says the government of the Republic of Zambia and the United Nations Development Programme UNDP are implementing Phase 2 of the Caribbean Pacific European Union Development Minerals Programme. Speaking this morning in Chipata District at the official opening of the training workshop on the Environmental Assessment Toolkit for artisanal and small-scale miners, he says despite being endowed with a variety of mineral resources, Zambia has continued to be highly dependent on copper. He says the potential of artisanal and small-scale mining subsector to contribute to economic development has been highlighted in the past national development plans, but little has been achieved. Meanwhile, Alice Mkandawire, the chairperson of St. Monica's Alumni Cooperative, has also called on small-scale miners in Eastern Province to take interest in learning new ways of mining.
Therefore, the inclusion of artisanal and small-scale mining enterprises in this training on the use of the environmental toolkit is most appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, the artisanal and small-scale mining subsector, as you may be aware, has its own peculiarities different from large-scale mining, because it requires certain capacities to be developed within the regulatory agencies. I'm therefore glad that today we are implementing the processes to build the capacity of miners and regulatory agencies to enhance environmental compliance by the artisanal and small-scale mining players.
We have been involved in mining development minerals for a long time. Our site is along Greatest Road, opposite DMI, in the referendum area. But many of us don't know how to look after the environment after we have collected the minerals of want. We are involved in collecting sand, river sand, building sand, and crushed stones. That's our business as a cooperative. But we are happy that this workshop has come because we were operating without knowledge. We didn't know how to look after the environment. Now that they have brought the guidelines, they have brought the toolkit for us, I believe my expectation is that I'll become a better small-scale miner who will make sure that I take care of the environment, and whatever I'll learn here, I'll go and share with my colleagues back at home.
The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has disclosed that the union is set to empower teachers with over 750 plots in Western Province that will be accessed on favorable condition by all union members in the province. ZANUT President James Kasisi has disclosed that the plots are 50 meters by 50 meters in size and will be offered to interested ZNUT members. Mr. Kasisi disclosed during the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding between ZANUT and Mukel Investment in partnership with Cashew Company on Monday afternoon. Meanwhile, representing Cashew Company, Mr. Mata Mukelawai has pledged the company's commitment to extend the partnership to other provinces as a form of support to the education sector. We have more in this report.
It is a very important asset in our working career. We have seen our colleagues who have left employment, others have nowhere to lay their hands on, or their heads on. It is for this reason that the Zambia National Union of Teachers find it prudent and important to go around and search for land, because we know that once we empower our members, that is good for their life. It's something that they'll go with, and no one will get away, will take away from them.
That we have this partnership with ZANUT to help the members of ZANUT on houses. We have capability of assisting the members, not just Western Province, but even in other areas of the Republic of Zambia. So you shouldn't only think of Western Province, but in other areas where teachers are found.
The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, says there is urgent need to promote international languages in Zambia's education system to ensure that the country is not left behind, even as the world is becoming more interconnected with the advancement of new technologies. ZANEC Executive Director George Hamusunga says despite Zambia being a member of bodies such as the United Nations, there has been minimal promotion of other international languages except French, which he says has been cosmetic as most pupils are not able to use it in their daily lives. Mr. Hamusunga explains that there is need for the Ministry of Education, when reforming the education curriculum, to see to it that it promotes multilingualism to enable learners to have a strong foundation in other languages apart from English in order to add value to Zambia's education. More in this following report.
Stakeholders have for a long time been calling for Zambia's education curriculum to be revised to see it not only imparting knowledge but skills in learners which they can use in today's society. The current education curriculum has been termed as unrealistic, as it focuses more on pupils passing examinations without imparting skills which they can use after school, hence contributing to the ever-rising number of job seekers. Minister of Education, Mr. Douglas Yakalima, however, said the new administration will revise the education curriculum to ensure that it is current and realistic. The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, says the remodeling of the education curriculum should be looked at from multiple angles to ensure that there is an overall improvement of the education system. ZANEC Executive Director Mr. George Hamusunga states that one area which is lagging behind in Zambia's education curriculum is the promotion of international languages. Mr. Hamusunga states that there is need to embrace international languages as the world has become a global village due to new technologies which has made it more connected.
We need to provide opportunities for our children to be multilingual, and we can focus, for instance, on the UN languages to ensure that we equip these children with, language skills that they can, be in a position to contribute significantly to our country and globally.
He adds that this is especially important as Zambia is a member of international bodies such as the United Nations, UN, among others.
So we need to promote multilingualism in our curriculum, and we hope that the new government, as they do, their policies, they will be able to ensure that, the curriculum they will be able to ensure that the policies are promoting multilingualism that will demonstrate that our children can have competencies in more than one international languages.
Mr. Hamusunga says the teaching of recognized international languages should ensure that learners have a strong grip of the said languages and are able to use them beyond the classroom. Zambia's education system has been seen as a tool which can be used to transform the country, and stakeholders have been eager to offer their contributions on how it can be improved. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has called for the process of operationalizing the gender division under the Office of the President to quicken so that gender concerns in the country are addressed. In an interview with Camnet TV, organization national coordinator Nelson Banda states that Zambia is a signatory to various international treaties pledging that it will uphold gender equality, hence the need to plan on how gender disparities will be addressed. He has since called on the media and civil society to ensure that even as they promote gender equality for women and girls, the gender needs of boys and men should not be left out, as this may in turn create a gap for the male folk. More in the following report.
According to data from the United Nations UN, gender inequalities in Zambia remain high, with women and girls being the most affected, having limited access to education and economic activities, as well as representing the highest number of gender-based violence GBV victims. Other gender inequalities in Zambia include early marriages brought about by harmful cultural beliefs. The coming in of the United Party for National Development UPND administration saw the scrapping off of the Ministry of Gender and replacing it with a gender division under the Office of the President. The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development says this division needs to be operationalized quickly in order to address gender disparities that the country is facing. In an interview, organization country coordinator Mr. Nelson Banda says there is also a need to create a separate institution which will ensure that gender issues are mainstreamed.
We don't know how soon the gender division will be operationalized, because it has to do with a lot of shifting staff, budget allocation, and all those things that comes with the setting up of such an office. Okay, so it might take a little bit of a while. We need an institution that will pick policy issues into cabinet. Okay, we need an institution that will take gender issues into parliament. Are we sure that the gender whatever division will place those things in the cabinet or in the parliament? You need the minister to table those things in parliament. Okay, so we're going back and forth. In fact, we're in reverse gear. Yeah, look at the international provisions that Zambia signed. Okay, SADC, African Union, CEDO, international protocols on human and people's rights, all those. You need an arm of government that will actually see to it that they're being implemented.
He has also called on the media, civil society and traditional leaders to ensure that the focus on gender is not just on women and girls, saying men and boys also need their concerns heard.
Men are also human beings. They go through stressing moments, they go through emotional challenges, and such things have to be, captured by the media so that even policymakers can pick that information for the purpose of planning. And here we're talking about the Ministry of Health, which looks after the well-being of every Zambian. Okay, so once those issues are captured, then they'll get to the policymakers, parliamentarians will read through about those issues, and then they'll be able to redo their programming so that even the well-being of men are also given attention.
United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5, to which Zambia is signatory, hopes to achieve gender equality in 9 years from now. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has reiterated its commitment in supporting the cause for young people, both locally and regionally, as articulated in the African Union Agenda 2063. Speaking when he officiated at the 2021 African Youth Day Monday, Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts Elvis Nkandu says President Hichilema has demonstrated a lot of commitment and passion to see to it that the welfare of youths, especially in line with the 4Es, take precedence. We have more in the following report.
In the words of the late Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda, who noted that there was and still is the real hope for the continent, with the young people at the helm to succeed in the Pan-African dream if the young people continue to the quest to build Africa. November 1st, a day set for youths across the continent to celebrate and pledge their commitment to actualize the spirit of Ubuntu of their forefathers through an idea of one united Africa. Monday, Zambian youths joined the rest of Africa in commemoration of the African Union Youth Day, which was held at the University of Zambia in Lusaka. Speaking when he officiated the ceremony, Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts, Elvis Nkandu, has reiterated government's commitment to ensuring youth welfare, both at local and regional level.
Youth are confronted with an increasing complex socio-economic and political context, which many of you agree hinders your development as youths. As a new dawn government, we are alive to some of the factors that, for instance, could have moved the Zambian youths to arrive at a collective decision when they chose to vote in large numbers to determine their own future and the future of the nation, as seen from the last election, but without resorting to violence. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, by way of description, the African Youth Day, I'm informed, is now designated as an annual date to signpost the recognition of the place of the youth of Africa and the realities they encounter, particularly in relation to education, employment, entrepreneurship, and engagement. And I believe these are the 4Es that we are talking about.
Mr. Kandu says the initiatives that promote socio-economic development on the continent should be encouraged.
At the same time, fulfilling the African Union Action 2063 and the SDGs. An in-depth assessment shows that in Agenda 2063, Aspiration 6, youths are recognized as the cornerstone of the plan's achievement over the past decade, as responded by initiating numerous flagship programs aimed at empowering the youth and bringing the continent organization's ideals closer to achieving the action. Ladies and gentlemen, more so, the establishment of the Office of the AU Youth Envoy and the Advisory Council attest to this. Other notable steps include the 1 million by 2021, aimed at concretely reaching millions of African youths from across the continent with opportunities and interventions in key areas.
Meanwhile, Congressman Bimbo Daramola notes that African continent will sound bilateral talk, fine diplomats can achieve more with young Africans' participation.
A population of 70% can do and achieve more with the opportunities available today if we imbibe the spirit of United Africa. Let me also quickly tell you that some of you may be trained in the University of Zambia, Onza, the great university, but guess what? Your jobs may be in Ghana. Because you already have the skill, you have the capacity. And your capacity is not limited to what you can get out of Zambia. I'm too sure with the quality of education that you are getting from here, you are as good in Zambia as you will be good in Nigeria.
Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more international and sports news after the break.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
This is the Rusitu irrigation project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. And in international news, a Sudanese protest leader says demonstrations in the country will continue until the military reverses its recent takeover and hands over the rule of the country to a civilian government. In other news, Liberia has struggled to deal with environmental challenges. The 2020 Environmental Performance Index ranked it the worst performing country when it comes to sustainability. Liberia's Guinean forest region is often referred to as the lungs of West Africa. But inside the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company's Liberian concession, the air is so thick with chemicals it stings the eyes. But the American tire giant told Al Jazeera that it is doing all it can to mitigate the effects of climate change, and it is not breaking any of the country's environmental laws. Here's a roundup of international news.
A Sudanese protest leader says demonstrations in the country will continue until the military reverses its recent takeover and hands over the rule of the country to a civilian government. The spokesperson for the Sudanese Professional Association, Mohammed Yusuf Al-Mustafa, insists those behind the takeover must be held accountable. It is either the military ruling with dictatorship, and we stand against them every day, no matter the killings, detentions and rapes, or they leave the political scene to the people to be responsible for themselves, manage the country the way they want and do what they believe is right. The UN on Sunday urged Sudan's generals to reverse their takeover of the country, a day after thousands of people took to the street in the largest pro-democracy protest since last week's coup. A government that the Sudanese revolution agrees on should be formed. A government that consists of skilled people who are biased towards democracy and human rights, and without any elements from the military or the political parties, can solve the main problems in Sudan. Security forces shot dead 3 protesters during Saturday's protest. According to Sudan's Doctors Committee, this makes at least 12 deaths since Monday. However, the Sudanese police say its forces did not use live ammunition against protesters.
Local elections are taking place in South Africa amidst apprehension regarding the dominance of the ANC. Only a few months ago, the country was rocked by a wave of violence and looting. Polls suggest a majority of voters could for the first time vote against the ANC. Many people want to see change.
I want to see change in regards to councillors. We had people being councillors for many years, and we don't see change. It's as if people, they just want to be chosen as councillors, and from there they sit back and do nothing.
The issue of electricity in living a society, and the other thing, it's a job creations, and the third one is the corruption.
Corruption amongst some high-ranking ANC party members, including former President Jacob Zuma, is one of the dominant issues. Unemployment is another. The rate stands at 34.4%.
It is deep in Liberia's Guinean forest region that Samuel Darwe comes to mourn his friends. Inside these coffins is Maria the farmer, Greaves the pastor, Renee the village shopkeeper. The cause of their deaths, Samuel says, is the nearby rubber plantation of the tire manufacturing company Firestone. It started with a cough, he says. Darwe accuses the company of poisoning the water they used for drinking and farming.
Firestone is cooking rubber, bringing air and water pollution. I'm feeling hurt. These are my citizens. I am very angry. I keep saying it over and over. The government doesn't care about their citizens. You see the destruction? This is not supernatural. The destruction from dirty water, which the government knows of.
Firestone is exploiting only a fifth of the 10,000 square kilometer land concession, but it is expanding as the 99-year government lease was renewed in 2005. The company is clearing large parts of Liberia's Guinean forest region, home to rare species of animals like the pygmy hippo and western chimps. Their habitat is under threat. Environmentalists say the rivers are contaminated with heavy metals, killing aquatic life.
Now, this is supposed to be the lungs of West Africa, but right here in the Firestone concession, the air is thick with chemicals. It stings the eyes. Now, in the statement, Firestone says it's doing all it can to mitigate the effect of climate change, and it is sticking to the current Liberian laws to protect the environment.
Liberia ranks at the bottom of the Environmental Performance Index, with researchers saying that the country is behind its regional peers, particularly in protecting the biodiversity, ensuring habitat conservation, and preventing climate change.
Who are the polluters? Who have all of the industry? Who have all of the factory? Who have the greater potential to destroy our earth? It is not us. And then when you make a report and think that we are doing less, what are you doing? You are not doing more as well.
Liberia's poor and indebted government has given almost half of the country's land in concessions to multinational companies in order to repay its debt to international creditors. These companies are exploiting the country's rich natural resources and displacing tens of thousands of people in the process. Most are making the country's capital their home. Faced with this influx, authorities are unable to manage the expanding slums and clear the mounting waste. With the capital barely 1 meter above sea level, the rising ocean is now destroying their homes. For Liberians, there is no escape from the effect of climate change. Darwe sees in these coffins a reminder for future generations of what caused his friend's death and the pollution that can no longer be ignored, destroying the lives of so many. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera, Mbaye, Monrovia.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, Oriental QUARRIES Boxing Promotions Operations Manager Chris Malunga has expressed sadness with the current state of the boxing ring, which he says has overstayed its usefulness and has become a risk to the boxing profession. Speaking at a media briefing earlier today, Malunga says the Ministry of Sports should look into the issue of the ring with the urgency it deserves. And Malunga has announced that boxer Catherine Perry will, on the 29th of January 2022, return to the ring and take on Zimbabwean Kudakwesha Chiwendre in a World Boxing Council WBC Super Bantamweight Championship. He says the budget for the tournament is 565,650 kwacha. Meanwhile, Perry says her fitness levels have not been affected despite being away from the sport due to COVID-19, which had led to the suspension of sports activities, words echoed by boxer Alfred Mwowo.
As promoters, including my late brother Anton Mam, we have been raising these issues. I think all the ministers, they know about this issue of the ring. This ring is more than 20 years plus old. Even the late Loti Mwale was using the same ring. This ring was donated by Passotti, an Italian guy. We even went to Italy. Yeah, Passotti is the one who donated this ring. But now, the ring is being used by amateurs. As we are talking now, the ring is in Mong, which is very, very important. But that is for professionals. But amateurs, they don't have a ring. So we raised it up with the ministry. Quotations have been taken there, but nothing was coming up. But the good part of it, when I last met the director of sport, he agreed that he was going to help us to make sure that the issue of the ring is resolved once and for all.
To end the news, we'll take a look at stories making headlines again. LUSAKA woman accuses the police of unfairly implicating her son in a murder case. Police constable suspected of killing senior prosecutor NSAMA CHIPYOKA pleads not guilty. Fuel subsidies gobbling $21 million United States dollars monthly as government labels KCM and MOPANI mines a mess. In international news, demonstrations in Sudan likely to continue after 12 confirmed dead during protests. And in sports news, Oriental QUARRIES Boxing Promotions turns to government over the boxing ring. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day coming from Proverbs 27 verse 1, and it reads, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." Thank you for watching Camnet TV News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.